So,
This mock interview, day 10. We have already completed 9 mock interviews. Whoever watching this video on YouTube, right? So you can check out this that 9 mock interviews in the playlist section. So just go to the playlist and check AWS interview question and answers. There you can find. So today Aniseti and Rishabh is going to participate in this mock interview, and the mock interview will be on totally AWS. And yeah, if you have DevOps experience, it's okay, you can mention your DevOps experience as well. But the interview was on AWS services. Okay. Even though if you have a DevOps engineer experience, I'm going to ask you a question on AWS. Is it okay?
okay.
Go ahead.
So,
Yeah, introduce yourself.
okay. Uh, Thank you for taking time to meet with me today. Good evening. Myself, Navjot. I have 2 years of experience in AWS and DevOps and a total of 5.9 years in the IT field. In my current role, I have been extensively working with various tools and technologies that are pivotal to DevOps. For version control, I have hands-on experience with Git and GitHub, ensuring efficient code management and collaboration. For continuous integration and deployment, I leverage Jenkins to streamline and automate the build and deployment process. In terms of configuration management, I utilize Ansible to automate and manage configurations across different environments. For containerization, I work with Docker to create and manage containers, and I use Kubernetes to orchestrate these containers in a scalable and efficient manner. My infrastructure management is driven by Terraform, allowing me to define and provision infrastructure through code. For application deployment, I have experience with Tomcat as application server. Lastly, I monitor and visualize application performance and system health using Prometheus and Grafana, which helps in proactive issue resolution and performance tuning. I am excited about the opportunity to bring my expertise to your team and contribute to delivering robust and scalable solutions. Thank you. This is all about me.
Yeah, so your mock interview is totally 2 minutes. Super.
Yes.
So we need to maintain at least 2 minutes. So yeah, Aniseti, if you see, Rishabh has delivered without reading the script. So he just added into his brain memory, and he's just going with the whatever script he has I have provided. So he's just following with normal approach. It is not like he's reading something. Okay. You this time also you performed right on your own, Rishabh.
Yes, sir.
Super.
On my own only.
Aniseti, you can also try. Please introduce yourself.
Thank you giving this opportunity. My name is
Thank
Aniseti.
you giving this opportunity. It is not like thank you for giving me this opportunity.
Myself, Aniseti Venkatesh. I'm a DevOps engineer with 5 years of experience, currently working at company in Kondapur, Hyderabad. My skill set including extensive expertise in AWS for cloud infrastructure management and Git for version control. I'm well versed in continuous integration deployment using Jenkins along with build automation through Maven.
Continuous integration and
I have
deployment.
hmm, I
Okay.
have experience with code quality, security tools like SonarQube and JFrog, as well configuration management using Ansible. I work with Docker and Kubernetes for orchestrating and scaling application. My proficient infrastructure has a code demonstrated through my use of
My
Terraform
profession,
and
not I am proficient in.
and proficiency.
So
Additional and skilled in
you are telling
shell
on your own,
scripting.
or you are reading something.
No, no, I'm telling one.
Super. I'm intentionally disturbing you so that even if some like in the interview, definitely they will disturb you. So even if they disturb, you
Okay.
should not miss your flow. They just want
Okay.
intentionally disturb because nowadays there so many people are using proxies, right? So that's the reason what they will do
Yes.
in between they will ask and they will disturb you. So to check, is there any sync, like mouth sync is there or not, if there is any missing. So intentionally they will going to disturb you. That's the reason I'm disturbing you. Don't take it as a bad. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Additional and skill in self-scripting, automate tasks, and utilize Prometheus and Grafana for monitoring. My background equips me to drive efficiency on my DevOps in any dynamic environment. That's it from my side. Thank you.
Okay, okay. Still, you need to improve. There is very much confidence is missing, and you are speaking very slow, and there is no, not at all. Like I can able to see the confidence. If you speak slow, right, automatically opposite person will feel it like a you are you don't have any experience like that. So the communication is plays a very key role.
Okay, okay.
So today we are going to discuss a mock on AWS S3. Okay, by this we will complete S3 interview questions. So if you go right, just search in the YouTube, search Devops easy. Go to my YouTube channel, playlist. Okay, if you see AWS S3, we have completed AWS EC2. Okay, so this three is more than enough to crack a job, but I will add one more today's this four interviews, right? You can able to easily crack if they ask any question related to AWS S3. Even for AWS EC2 also we have discussed nearly six. So this is also enough. Okay, this is the mandatory service AWS EC2 S3. Okay, and this is
Yes.
the two mandatory service which needed for DevOps engineer. Yeah, there is required for VPC as well. Okay, whatever the services we required, we can discuss on that service as well along with AWS. So
Okay.
first question is how can S3 be used with AWS CloudFront for content delivery? So describe a scenario where would you use S3 with AWS Glue? How would you use AWS Athena with S3? Okay, how can you automate S3 operations using AWS Lambda? How would you manage S3 bucket policies with AWS IAM?
We will create policies for particular user.
Super. Yes, you are right. So we will define the policies and with particular user. You are right. How can you backup data from on-premises to S3?
On premises to S3. No idea, sir.
How can S3 be used with AWS EMR for big data processing? Explain a scenario where would you use S3 with AWS backup. So how would you use S3 with Amazon RDS for database backups? How do you configure cross-account access to an S3 bucket?
Cross account through VPC peering.
VPC peering is used for VPC to VPC communication. I'm talking about S3 bucket. If you want to communicate from one VPC to another VPC, there you will use VPC peering. But we don't want VPC peering, right? We want S3 bucket. How would you troubleshoot an S3 bucket that suddenly becomes inaccessible? So this is a real-time question. How can you recover deleted objects in S3? What are some best practices for securing data in S3? How would you manage costs for an S3
Uh,
bucket storing terabytes of data? How would you enforce data compliance using S3? How do you troubleshoot slow file upload speeds to S3? Like how do you troubleshoot if the file was uploading very slowly? How can you ensure high availability for your S3 data?
we will apply multi-availability zone.
Super. Multi-region, not
Yes,
multi-availability.
yes, yes. Sorry.
How would you monitor and alert on S3 bucket activity?
We will use flow logs.
We can use CloudWatch as well, right?
Yes.
How do you handle large scale data exports from S3?
Don't know. Sir.
Final question. What are the benefits and limitations of using S3 as a backup solution? So shall we check the answers?
Yes, we can check.
So how can S3 be used with AWS CloudFront for content delivery? So S3 can serve as the origin for CloudFront, which cache and delivers content globally, reducing latency. So example, using S3 and CloudFront to deliver images and videos to users worldwide with low latency. So if you see the example of Amazon Prime, so you will watch a movie in your Amazon Prime, yes or no?
Yes,
Just imagine you are in Hyderabad. So you will open Amazon Prime in your Hyderabad location.
yes,
Okay, what AWS will do, right? Amazon company will do. Amazon will maintain some cloud front, nothing but a nearby database. So from there they will fetch the information. Okay, like for suppose if I want to open
yes,
any YouTube, okay, for the first time it will take some time. For the next time, if I search YouTube, it will automatically load fastly. Why? Because a cache will be automatically stored in my Google Chrome. Because of that cache in the backend it will storing. That's the reason it will load fastly. Okay, S3 can serve as origin for CloudFront, which cache and delivers content globally, reducing latency. Latency nothing but loading. Loading will not be there. That is a latency. With low latency nothing but so loading will be very less. Getting browsing will be very less.
yes, sir.
So if you see 5 to 7 years back, so whenever we open anything, it used to load, right? Load a lot. But nowadays, after 5G, 4G came into this, very less loading will be. Describe a scenario where you would use S3 with AWS Glue. So AWS Glue can extract, transform, and load data from S3, making it ready for analysis. So using Glue to transform raw log data stores in S3 into structured data for analytics into Amazon Redshift. Nothing but whatever data available in S3, you will take that and you will use AWS Glue, okay, to transform that normal data into a visual format. Nothing but structure. If you see, if I go to Task Manager, so these are the applications it's running. If I go to performance, you can see the graphical representation of CPU memory, right? Yes or no? I can able
Yes,
to see the graph.
yes,
So how I am getting this graph?
yes,
At the end, in the back end, it will collect the logs. Okay, in the back end, it will
yes,
use some logs. Using that logs, it will get this information. So to visualize, in the same way, whatever the data present in our AWS S3 bucket, we will take that and we will convert that data into a, if you see, using Glue to transfer raw log data stored in S3 into a structured data for analytics in Amazon Redshift. So Amazon Redshift is a software or a service provided by AWS to visualize your data.
okay.
Okay, how would you use AWS Athena with S3? So AWS Athena allows you to query data stored in S3 using SQL without needing to load it into a database. Querying large log files stored in S3 to identify patterns and issues without moving the data. Okay, simple thing. If you want to load the data, you can use S3. You can store the right data in your S3 bucket. So it will be very easy to load. So it allows you to query data stored in S3 using SQL without needing to load it into a database. So rather than going inside the database, if you have the data in your S3 bucket, you can easily load that. Querying large log files stored in S3 to identify patterns and issues without moving the data. So how can you automate S3 operations using AWS Lambda? So use Lambda function to automatically process S3 events such as resizing images or processing lags when new files are uploaded. Okay. So using AWS Lambda, you can connect with S3 bucket and you can create a Lambda function. Like for suppose whenever there is a file was added to the S3 bucket, okay, you can create a Lambda function out of it. So if you see AWS project, there is some project on Lambda function. Yeah, Lambda. So if you say let's create a real-time project using AWS Lambda, S3 bucket and CloudWatch. This project will involve setting up workflow. This is the real-time project which I've written by me. Okay, upload first to S3 bucket. Files are uploaded to an S3 bucket. So the upload event trigger a Lambda function. So when our file was uploaded, Lambda function will be automatically triggered. So the Lambda function processes the file, reading its content, performing some transformation. So the Lambda function logs the results of the processing to the CloudWatch. So whenever a file was updated, Lambda function will be triggered. Simultaneously, whenever it's triggered, it will collect the logs and it will store that logs in the CloudWatch. Okay. So to create a Lambda function, right, this is the Python function, right? Using Python script, you can able to create a Lambda function. Okay. Anyway, I will discuss about this. Don't worry. Along with the Terraform project, right? I need to show this as well.
Okay, sir.
Okay, then where we are, mock, sorry, AWS data. So where we are, okay, how can you automate S3 operations using AWS Lambda? Use Lambda function to automatically process S3 events, resizing image or processing logs. So I've shown you how whenever upload an right, then also you can create. So Lambda function will be create anything. Like for suppose if you want to resize your image, okay. Example, automatically converting uploaded videos to different formats using a Lambda function triggered by an S3 upload. So whenever a video is uploaded, you can convert that video into different formats. How you will do that? You can use Python script. You need to write some logics. Right, using that logic, you can create a Lambda function. How would you manage? How you will create the Lambda function? How S3 bucket will know everything? I will show right in practically. Then you will get it.
Sir, one thing, like when the Lambda functions are triggering, for that you are writing this Lambda script. Okay, so that script will be written by a DevOps engineer, or some developer will share that script.
Developer will not share. You need to write your own script. If you want help, yeah, you can take help of the developer. At the end, as a DevOps engineer, you need to write it. So that's the reason nowadays companies are expecting Python, right?
Yes, yes, that
Yeah.
is what my exact question was.
But majorly, you will not work on this. Okay. If you have a Bad luck, definitely. Then at that time you need to work on this AWS Lambda and all, but majority you will work on DevOps itself. Already there will be a people who work for this related, nothing but developer only they will allocate. But it depends. I cannot uh, guarantee you that you will not work. But majority I'm telling, okay, out of majority. Even I am not working in Lambda,
Okay.
and I never worked on Lambda in my last, like in from starting of my career. But I'm learning it for the training purpose, like as required. Okay,
Okay.
and I'm not learning from someone else. I'm going with AWS admins who are working in some other projects. From there, I'm taking the
Okay.
suggestions. Accordingly, I'm creating the real-time tasks,
Okay. Okay.
whichever the activity they are doing repeatedly. I'm taking that one only. I'm showing that one itself. Okay, because whenever
Okay.
something added to the S3 bucket, so at the time I need to get a notification. Okay, some file was added. So that's the important thing, right? Like for suppose I can able to trigger it. Okay, when the file was added in the S3 bucket, so we will get every logs. So that is very important for some
Yes.
companies. At that time you can use this lambda function and you can add in your resume as well using AWS. But they will ask you how you have done all these things. So you need to be ready to face that type of questions. Okay, how would you manage S3 bucket policies with AWS IAM? Use IAM policies to control with users or services can perform actions on S3 buckets. Restrict access to a bucket storing sensitive data. Whatever you said, right, you are right. You can use IAM roles or you can create a users. How can you backup data from on-premises to S3? Use AWS Storage Gateway or AWS Data Sync to backup on-premises data to S3. So automating nightly backups from on-premises database to S3 using Storage Gateway. How can S3 be used with Amazon EMR for big data processing? So S3 can serve as both input and output data stored for Amazon EMR. EMR nothing but Elastic Map Reduce, providing scalable storage for big data processing. So what is the example for this? Storing raw clickstream data in S3, processing it with the EMR and saving the results back to S3 for analysis. So what you will do, you will just store your raw data in S3. Then after you will process the data using Elastic Map Reduce. And what are the results you got from the EMR, you will again store that in your S3 bucket. Explain a scenario where you would use S3 with AWS backup. So AWS backup can be used to centrally manage and automate backups from AWS services, including S3. So configuring AWS laptop to automate daily backups of critical application, write data stored in S3. So in the S3 bucket, you have stored some data. So out of that, if you want to take backups, we can use AWS backup. That too for only for critical application data, not for all. How would you use S3 with Amazon RDS for database backups? RDS can automatically store database backups in S3, providing durable and scalable backup storage. Example, automatically backing up a MySQL database in Amazon RDS to S3 for disaster recovery. So from Amazon RDS, you can able to store the data directly to the S3. So how do you configure cross-account access to an S3 bucket? So use bucket policies or IAM roles to grant access to S3 buckets from other AWS accounts. So granting a partner organization access to shared S3 bucket for collaborative work. Like for suppose simple example. So you have a SharePoint, you have uploaded some data. So you can share that data with your company members. Yes or no? So in the same way, here what you will do, you will create
Yes,
a
sir.
roles, IAM roles to grant access to your S3 bucket. How would you troubleshoot an S3 bucket that suddenly becomes inaccessible? Check for misconfigured bucket policies, ACLs, IAM permissions, or issues with the VPC endpoints. So resolving access issues by updating a bucket policy that was mistakenly modified. So if your bucket policy was wrong, so obviously people cannot able to access this. So using that bucket policy only, right, you will make public your S3 bucket. So if the policy is wrong, obviously you cannot able to access that. How can you recover deleted objects in S3? So if versioning is enabled, you can recover deleted objects by retrieving previous versions. So restoring a mistakenly deleted document from an S3 bucket with versioning enabled. So you need to enable versioning, then only you can able to back recover. If not, it's not possible. What are some best practices for securing data in S3? So best practice is nothing but you need to use like SSL, enabling encryption, enforcing use of SSL, using bucket policies and IAM rules for fine-grained access control, and enabling versioning. Implementing a multi-layer security approach for an S3 bucket, storing medical records, including encryption, access controls, and logging. How would you manage cost for an S3 bucket storing terabytes of data? So use lifecycle policies, choose appropriate storage classes, monitor with AWS Cost Explorer, and enable S3 analytics for deeper insights. So transitioning equipment access data to Glacier to reduce cost while retaining necessary backups. Nothing but whatever the data you have, so you can set the limit. So if the data is not accessible from past 30 days, move this from standard to infrequent access. From infrequent access to what is then Glacier, right? From infrequent access to one zone, right? One zone. Infrequent after one zone. After one zone, Glacier, I think. So how would you enforce data compliance using S3? So if you don't know the S3 life cycle, right? In the previous mocks we have already discussed different life cycles of S3. So you can check out the playlist. Use
Yes.
object lock, encryption, access controls. So how would you enforce data compliance using S3? Like this. How do you troubleshoot slow file uploads? Check network bandwidth, enable S3 transfer isolation, use multi-part upload, and optimize file size. So improving upload speeds for large PDF files by enabling transfer isolation and use multi-part upload. Nothing but whatever the file you are uploading, right? It will divide it into multiple pieces. Like that, it will upload. Even if you see, right, some third-party software called as IDM, even if you download in IDM, it will download in multi-parts so that it will download fastly. Just observe if you are using. How can you ensure high availability for your S3 data? So store data in multiple regions using cross-region replication and enable versioning for disaster recovery. So store data in multiple regions, obviously. So whatever you said, you are right. How would you monitor and alert S3 bucket activities? Use AWS CloudTrail for logging API calls, configure S3 event notification, and set up CloudWatch. So I said right. Setting
Yes,
alerts
sir.
for unauthorized access to sensitive S3 bucket. How do you handle large scale data exports from S3? Use AWS data pipeline. What are the benefits and limitations of using S3 as a backup solution? So benefits include scalability, durability, and integration with AWS services. Limitations includes potential cost for retrieval and the need for proper configuration to avoid accidental data using S3 as for cost-effective and scalable backup of enterprise data while ensuring proper security measures and plus of protect sensitive information. Simple, simple like what are benefits and limitations using S3 as a backup solution. So why I need to use S3? For that he has given a wrong definition. Simple in example if I tell, so if there is any critical data, right, regarding medical record, okay, so if I want to store that data securely, so I can use AWS S3. Why an S3 as a backup solution? Because I have a backup of my, right, my patient data, so I can able to monitor that. Okay, last year my patient is health was like this, so this year my patient was improved or not. Okay, last year they have done this many operations, so this year how many operations they have done. So like that, whatever data it needed, you can kept that, right? So that's the reason they have mentioned like this, right? Scalability, durability, integration, and you cost also it will help. And if you deleted something accidentally, then also you can able to retrieve that. So that is a retrieval. So yeah, that's what I know. Some questions is very critical. It's okay. Now once I update it, right, you will get it. So yeah, that's it for today. I will stop there.